What's an ex-mafia capo doing in Tulsa?
When I figure that out, you'll be the second one to know. I'm going to own this city.
G'day viewers, Retro Man here. Today I'll be reviewing episode 2 of Tulsa King. Stay tuned for more.
Coming to you from a basement studio somewhere down under. It's the 80s Show with Australia's Retro Man. On tonight's show, Retro Man reviews episode 2 of Tulsa King. Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man.
G'day viewers, Retro Man here and welcome to the 80s Show. Now today I'll be reviewing episode 2 of Tulsa King. This is the new series starring Sylvester Stallone. And I tell you what, I had a lot of fun with episode 1 and now episode 2 has continued on the same way. And I must say it keeps up the standard. So if you're on board with this series, you should enjoy episode 2 just as equally as episode 1. So the title of this exciting second episode is Center of the Universe. And that title kind of fits very well because Stallone's daughter, who he hasn't connected with for so long, she really is the center of his universe. And there's a little bit of a fantastical element to this. Sly sort of goes out into Tulsa there and walks down this road, and there's this old lady there, and she refers to this place as the center of the universe. And at the end of the episode, he goes and stands there once again. And for a moment there, actually, when he comes across this old lady, he sees a white horse, and that's kind of like a vision of what could potentially come in this series. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. It's a lot of fun, and this episode really is about Stallone trying to reconnect with his daughter, and also there's the ATF agent Stacy in the background, who's kind of a little bit concerned. I just slept with a big mafia capo, and there's a lot going on here. And of course, Sly goes on a road trip, and it's a very interesting one. Let's get into that in a moment. But yeah, the level of this episode is still on par in my eyes, and I'm looking forward to episode 3. So let's get into the nitty gritty now of this episode.
Any flammable liquids or firearms?
In the box? Nah.
Now, we find Dwight Manfredi, Sylvester Stallone, this time still in Tulsa, of course, and he's doing a little bit of checking up on his daughter. He's trying to reconnect with this daughter that he hasn't seen in basically 25 years. And he's on the computer and he's trying to track her down. And it turns out he kind of needs a credit card. He can't get in to get the information he wants. And he decides to send a little package back to New York. And the guy kind of pulls him up in the postal department there and says to him, look, we only take cards here, and Sly, I mean, he's the guy where cash is king, and this guy won't accept that. So Sly kind of gets a guy in the line behind him and says, do you have a credit card? Well, I'll pay you, and can you just put this on your credit card? So he gets around it and sends his package out, and he decides then, I must get a credit card. And he actually tries to go to a bank, and he can't set up an account at a bank because he's a little bit lackadaisical when it comes to identification. So he actually has to go then and get his driver's license, and then he goes and sorts his problem out with a bank. So just like in the first episode, he's like this dinosaur coming back into the world here of technology, if you will, and there's some fish out of water elements that really keep this show strong in episode 2. There's plenty of laughs, but there's a lot of dramatic depth as well. It's quite emotional at times as Sly is trying to reconnect with his daughter. By the end of the episode, he kind of gets that credit card. He finds out some more information about her and then continues to contact her. He has a brief conversation with her husband, and he actually asks to talk to his daughter on the other end of the line, and he gets to finally hear her voice, but she still does not want to see him in person. So the climax of this thing is Sly is really upset. I mean, his character is torn at the seams. And this episode, I mean, it was so light in tone, the early part of it, and there's some dramatic weight at the end, and Stallone is really an emotional wreck in those final scenes as he longs to reconnect with his daughter. So I think this is going very well, but what I will say is, in plot terms, the real crux of this episode is Sly's character goes on a bit of a road trip with his buddy Tyson, and they also grab the guy Bodie who runs the pot store, the dispensary, and they decide to go out and go on this bit of a road trip to check out the pot dealer. And Sly's like, he wants to cut a deal for this guy in town, for Bodie, and he wants to make sure that it's quite level. The deal with the pot dealer is a level playing field, and Sly undercuts him, and he feels more comfortable, more in control of the pot shop in town. So that's basically the major plot development, but there's all this business about his daughter going on behind the scenes, which gives this episode an emotional depth. So there's light and shade here, and it's going along strong. I mean, also Stacy is back. She's the lady that Sly had the one night stand with, and as we know, she's an ATF agent, and she's found out that Dwight is still on everybody's hit list, so to speak, and he's been in the clink, and she decides to actually come clean and tell him that she knows what's going on with him. And actually there's an exchange there between Sly and Stacy about his daughter. And it's kind of really interesting. There's a lot of depth to these characters. There's a lot of comedy, and it's going along very well. So I highly recommend episode 2. Tulsa King, in my eyes, is going along fantastic. Sly once again adds his star power to the episode, and he keeps it moving at a clip. I mean, he's very entertaining in this role. The fish out of water stuff hits the sweet spot continuously, and as I said at the end of this episode, you get that emotional weight of what's really tearing at the heartstrings of Dwight. And of course, guys, to really give it that gangster flavour, there's still some rumblings there in New York. I mean, if you can recall at the beginning of episode 1, Stallone, or should I say Manfredi, hit a made man in that opening sequence, and that made man is not happy with what went down in that room that day, and he kind of wants revenge on Manfredi. And there's a bit of a phone call exchange there, and they say $100,000 will kind of ease the made man's pain, but really I think this runs a little bit deeper than that, and there will be more to come in the next episode. So that's my little take on episode 2 of Tulsa King. It's a lot of fun. I'm really on board with this series. So tell me what you think of Tulsa King, guys. Episode 2, in my eyes, was great, and I can't wait to watch episode 3. Stallone is back, that's for sure, and Retro Man will be back to tell you more when the next episode drops. But in the meantime, keep watching the 80s show, because I have a lot more coming your way. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It's been an absolute pleasure talking about Tulsa King. So this is Retro Man, living the dream, 80s style. Stay gold.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang and just as tough as Stallone in Tulsa King. Please subscribe, and good night, viewers.